2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, giving everybody a second or two here before we get going. We'll be talking about what's taking place right now, which right now really not a whole lot going on out there. So let me pull up a radar for you. All right, so let's get started. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Ken Johnson here with you on this Facebook Live. This is Thursday, April the 25th, 2024. And as we look at the radar, if you watched this yesterday, we told you there would be no storms during the day today. So if we look at the radar, there's not much going on. There are some pretty ominous, dark-looking clouds out there, and it's very windy, very humid. Of course, it feels like severe weather. But to get thunderstorms, you have to have a trigger. It's like you got to have a match to light the fuse, and right now we really don't have that in place. There's no lift, there's no push in the atmosphere anywhere. So as of right now, no thunderstorms, and I do expect most of this evening to be quiet as well. Now, if we take a look out west, this is from the Lubbock and Amarillo radar sites out west. The dry line is kind of parked back into here somewhere. So what we're going to see will be some storms begin to develop. Well, first, there still could be something real isolated around sunset out here, but I don't think that that's going to be our main concern. I think that we're going to wait for the main storm system, the main storm energy, which is out west still, to begin to move east. And as it moves east, we're going to see the dry line begin to push east, and then we'll see what's called a Pacific cold front moving across the area. This storm system comes from the Pacific Ocean, so it brings with it Pacific air and a Pacific cold front, mostly just kind of a wind shift. And I do look for thunderstorms to get going kind of down into this area first, and then they'll spread east to northeast late tonight and early Friday morning. So this is going to be an overnight severe weather event for us, okay? So that is what we are mostly looking at with this system, is an overnight severe weather event. Nothing expected really this evening. So if you look at my risk areas I've drawn, a little red area, and this will be late this evening and late tonight. This will probably be somewhere around 10, 11 p.m., maybe a little bit sooner, but probably 10, 11 p.m. we'll see storms, kind of fire up quickly in this area. But with the cold front pushing through like this, it will have a tendency to cause the storms to line out pretty quickly. So we're not looking at a lot of supercells. They could be maybe briefly supercells at first, but I think as this front gets to moving, you'll see more of a cluster of storms kind of moving east overnight tonight. Now, they'll be interacting with a very tropical air mass, very humid air mass over us tonight, and there's a lot of wind energy. So that line will still have some stuff to work with, but there may be just enough of a cap in place, and we see what's called convective inhibition, or SIN, that develops after the sun goes down, because you no longer have that daytime heating. So there might be just enough SIN to develop to keep these storms what we call ever so slightly elevated, and that would limit the tornado threat. So that's some good news. So right now, what we're expecting again would be a line of thunderstorms in the middle of the night across Texoma, and here are the threats we're most concerned with. I think the tornado threat is not particularly high. I do include a spin up, but I just don't think that threat's particularly high. I would expect the Storm Prediction Center to issue either a severe or tornado watch in the middle of the night. Probably a tornado watch, I would think. They usually err on the side of caution. Honestly, I think a severe thunderstorm watch would cover it best, though. Initial storms out west would have hail, but as they move eastward, while you can't rule out some hail, it will probably become smaller. I think our main risk would probably be some gusty winds with this. So if we take a look here at the latest, this is the latest HRRR computer model. And I got to do some adjusting here of the timeline up here, so give me a second. It'll pop up. So here we are this afternoon. Maybe some storms developing right around sunset, maybe up there in the northern panhandle of Texas and the southwest Kansas up towards Dodge City. That's kind of where, at least for right now, the better threat for severe weather and tornadoes would be up there in maybe the western parts of Kansas, although I don't know that it's going to be a big tornado event. But there could be some significant ones up there north of Dodge City. Now, if you look, as we get into the evening, here we are at 10 o'clock, and notice the HRRR computer model does not break out storms. We're still waiting for that storm energy, But wait, watch what happens. Here we go. 10, 11, initially some supercells, but as that moves eastward, notice how it kind of clusters up. So oftentimes the computer models are too slow. When a lot of storms gets going, they usually jet across pretty fast. So oftentimes these computer models are too slow. So at 2 o'clock, it shows this line of storms from about Altus down through Crowell and Haskell, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if it were a little further east, like maybe more over towards Vernon and Seymour. And then maybe around 3 a.m. or so, maybe here in the Wichita Falls. As you can see, the reflectivity, or the computer model, still shows what radar might we consider some pretty intense storms, but I think as you see these bowing features, that this is mostly going to be wind. But sometimes with these lines of storms, you wind up with a bit of a south or southeasterly wind, pretty strong out ahead of it. Then you get a quick change with the wind out of the west, and that can create a little bit of a spin on the leading edge, or some of these little kinks in the line sometimes, and it can create brief spin ups where it, something kind of spins down out of the cloud real fast, and then it kind of pops back up. And usually any type of tornado with that type of a setup would be really, really weak. I'm talking about EF0, EF1s at the most. And we're talking about breaking off some tree limbs, maybe a couple little shingles here or there. I think the wind and the storms would probably be more of a significant concern, although I don't know how strong they'll be either. So I don't think that this is a higher end severe weather event for us. So that is some good news. Here's my timeline. Now this timeline could change a bit. And I'm doing this based upon the fact that usually the weather information is a little bit too slow. I have that line, or those storms, developing into and moving into our western counties between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. Into Wichita Falls sometime between about 2 and 3 a.m. And then our eastern counties between 3 and 5, maybe 6 a.m. Even first thing in the morning, there still could be some storms over there in some of our eastern counties as they move on out to the east. Just have your first alert weather app ready overnight tonight. Have the alerts on, so if anything pops up, you'll get those alerts, and you can find us on Facebook Live and the YouTube Live. You can also find us on our 24/7 channel, and if anything is major, we'll be on CBS as well. I'm about to have to go. I got to get some stuff, but we'll briefly talk about Saturday. I'm not trying to put too much emphasis and focus on Saturday yet, because we really need to get through this one first before we worry about Saturday. I still think it has the potential to be a pretty significant severe weather event, but there are some things that may take place that may prevent it from being as bad as it otherwise could be. Could be some thunderstorms around early in the day, and you may not see a lot of activity once again until you get into the evening or night. Once again, the system may be trying to slow up a little bit. But if we can get thunderstorms to develop in the afternoon, I'm talking about late afternoon, early evening, they'll have a lot of spin to work with and a lot of storm energy to work with, and they could still produce all significant severe weather hazards. But it looks like as we get into the night, the more major concern will become more of a line, especially the further east you go. So we may do some adjustments. We'll probably do some adjustments on this as we get into Friday, as we start getting some information in that some of our more reliable, what we call CAMs, convective of allowing models, that will start doing a better job of picking up on where some of this stuff might wind up being. But the potential's there for something pretty significant, but we'll have to wait and see how it all comes together. There may be some stuff, and let me tell you folks, usually what happens is these systems, these big systems like this, usually something happens that prevents it from being as bad as it otherwise possibly could be. So be careful about listening to all those guys hyping everything out there on social media, and just make sure you stay tuned to your trusted sources. And despite what some say, and I still don't understand why, I have no idea why, there are people out there in our area that say they don't trust their local meteorologist. I don't understand that. Our forecasts are pretty dang good. They're pretty good. We don't overhype the weather. So I don't know what these people are watching and looking at. I really have no idea what they're looking at. I have never once hyped the weather up. So, well, thank you there, Garrett. Well, thank you, Nate. Yeah, Storm Master Nate, he's a good kid. We like him. We like him. And I do appreciate you trusting us. But for some reason, you just got people out there these days that say they don't trust us, and I really have no idea why. But yet they trust some of these other guys that are out there yelling and screaming on social media. I just don't get it. So, can we not what? Thank you there, Margaret. I appreciate it. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, and Garrett, those people that are on the social media don't even have a degree. They don't. A lot of them don't. Some of them do. A lot of them don't. Well, thank you there, Heather. I appreciate it. Heather versus Heather. Thank you, Amber. There's a bit of a delay on my end here, so I can't. I don't even know what map we're on right now. Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. That map you see there is for Saturday. You can see that the title up there. It says Saturday and Saturday night. So yeah. And again, that's gonna change. That graphic up there is going to change a bit, I think, because like I say, there's some data coming in now that's trying to back off of that a little bit. I still think the threat is there, and it still has a pretty significant threat. I still think this will be probably, if you follow the Storm Prediction Center, probably, and it's already an enhanced risk. They'll probably go with the Category 4, I think, probably, but I don't know that we'll get to a high risk. I just think that there might be some stuff that might prevent that from happening. So we'll see. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Because, like I say, and I don't know why, but we get a lot of hate out there these days, and it's for no reason. There is no rhyme or reason for it. I mean, I got a friend on Facebook. Talking about how you can't trust the local weatherman. What the heck, man? Come on, really? Obviously you don't watch my forecast, and I'm not bragging on myself or my team, but we do a pretty good job. Just like some of the other guys other guys in the area that do a good, these meteorologists, we do a good job. So. All right, well, we will have more updates on social media. The app, remember the First Alert 6 weather app, make sure you have that downloaded. If you haven't yet, download it, because that's where you're going to get notifications there from, whenever warnings and watches are issued. And look for us on social media and on the 24/7 channel. We might do some stuff on News Channel 6, but the way we're kind of shaping things up now, we're trying to kind of alter some of our severe weather coverage here. It's going to have to be something pretty significant for us to interrupt over there on channel 6 now. So, because you've got access to the 24/7 channel and social media, so you can get it now, and the app too. So that would be reserved for smaller things. Bigger things would be also on all platforms. So, all right, everybody, y'all have a great afternoon, and we'll be updating you throughout the evening and throughout the overnight. I'll be here most of the night. Cameron will be here, and Jaden comes in a little bit later on. So y'all have a great evening. No storm threats this evening early on. It's late tonight as you go to bed or while you're asleep that we'll see those threats.